The soot from the oil lamp mixed with the metallic smell that permeated the tent. It wasn't the smell of glory. It was the smell of exposed viscera, of frozen mud and iron rusted by the blood of barbarians. The most powerful man in the known world wasn't sleeping on silk sheets. He was sitting on a hard wooden bench, his back hunched, shivering from the cold on the banks of the Danube. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, the Lord of the Legions, looked like just a sick and tired old man. The armor, thrown in a dark corner of the tent, still had the brutal dent of a German war mace that had almost broken his ribs hours before. He was coughing, a dry, painful cough which revealed weak lungs and a body that was already asking for air. Outside, the wind howled like a wounded beast. With each gust, the tent's canvas cracked, resembling the sound of breaking bones. But the real horror wasn't the noise. It was the silence that came in between. The silence of thousands of Roman soldiers dead in the snow. The silence of the Antonine plague that rotted the empire from the inside out, transforming entire cities into open-air cemeteries. Marco looked at his hands. They were not the hands of a god, as the Senate liked to proclaim. They were hands stained with ink and dirt. Hands that had ordered executions. Hands that shook. He took the papyrus. It was not an imperial decree. It wasn't a letter to the Senate asking for more gold. It was a diary. A dirty, personal diary that no one should ever read. He dipped his pen in black ink. The flickering flame light illuminated the deep wrinkles on his forehead. He did not write for posterity. He wrote to keep from going crazy. Marcus Aurelius, sanity was hanging by a thread, and that diary was the only thing that prevented him from becoming a monster like Nero or Caligula. The ink touched the paper. He did not write about his greatness. He wrote an insult to himself. "You are a small soul carrying a corpse." The phrase echoed in the empty tent. Brutal, direct, a punch to the gut to your own ego. Most men in that position would be getting drunk on Falern wine or seeking comfort in the arms of slave women. Marcus Aurelius was there, dissecting his own mortality, remembering that, beneath the imperial purple, he was nothing more than decaying flesh awaiting the tomb. He looked at the dented armor again. Death had passed inches from his heart that day. A warrior from the Quados tribe, with his face painted blue and hatred in his eyes, had charged at him. The Praetorian Guard killed him, of course. But the barbarian's gaze remained, the look of someone who knew that Rome was just a fragile idea, about to be swallowed by the forest. Marco started writing again. The need to vomit the truth onto paper was visceral. He needed to destroy the illusion that it mattered. The war, the borders, the glory, all ashes. He noted, Alexander the Great and his muleteer died, and the same thing happened to both of them. Think about the gravity of this. The greatest conqueror in history, and the man who cleaned shit off his ass. Both reduced to dust. Both forgotten by the land that makes no distinction between kings and servants. Marco knew that his generals outside were discussing strategy, dreaming of triumphs and marble statues in their honor. Fools. Children playing at being immortal. The emperor knew the truth. Time is a violent river that drags everything away. Nothing is left. The cough came back, stronger this time. He spat into a cloth. Blood. The plague was prowling. Or maybe it was just old age taking its toll on decades of service. He remembered Lucius Verus, his adopted brother and co-emperor. Vero loved the party, the excess, the denial of reality. He died early, consumed by his own addictions, leaving the entire weight of the world on Marco's shoulders. The loneliness of that moment was absolute. There was no one to talk to who didn't want something from him. A position. One land. One sentence. Only the diary listened to him without asking for anything in return. The diary was his mirror, and the reflection was ugly. He wrote about anger. Hours earlier, one of their commanders had made a stupid tactical error that cost the lives of an entire century. Marco's desire, his animal instinct, was to have the incompetent crucified. It was screaming. It was going to explode. But on paper, in the dim light of that almost ending oil lamp, he indoctrinated himself. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. He forced his own mind to bend to reason. If he acted on impulse, he would be just another animal reacting to stimuli, a dog that bites when cornered. He demanded of himself to be more than human. He demanded to be an impregnable citadel. The night advanced, and the cold became unbearable. His fingers were stiff. The ink started to freeze in the cartridge. But he didn't stop. There was a desperate urgency to those notes. He knew he might not see the sunrise. Don't act like you're going to live 10,000 years. Fate hangs over your head. Each word was a hammer blow to fix reality in place. He looked at the chaos of the world, the betrayal of Avidius Cassius in the east, the famine in Rome, the barbarians in the north, and realized that the only thing he truly controlled was his own mind. Everything else, the vast Roman Empire, was smoke. It was external. It was indifferent. The psychology of that moment is terrifying. Imagine having the power to snap your fingers and kill anyone, having all the gold, all the armies, and feeling deeply, hopelessly insignificant. Marcus Aurelius saw life as a constant war, not just against the Germans, but against entropy, against the natural decay of things. He knew Rome would fall. He knew their statues would be torn down and their names erased. And the only worthy response to this cosmic nonsense was to do one's duty. No crying, no drama. Without waiting for applause, get up and do the work of a human being. He remembered the courts in Rome, of the fat, perfumed senators in their impeccable togas, speaking about virtues they never practiced. Hypocrites, parasites who never saw blood spurt from an artery, but loved to send young men to their deaths. The disgust that Marco felt for that life of appearances was the fuel for his philosophy. His Stoicism was not salon style. It was from a trench. It was a mud-stained stoicism tested in the pain of losing his children. He lost almost all of them, one by one, to illness and fever. And with each little coffin he buried, he returned to the diary. Do you see how ephemeral and worthless human things are? It wasn't pessimism. It was surgical clarity. He was amputating empty hope to save sanity. If you expect the world to be fair, you break it. If you expect people to be grateful, you become bitter. Marco expected betrayal, ingratitude, cowardice, and death. And because he expected that, nothing could bring him down. He shielded his soul with the certainty of the worst-case scenario. The premeditatio malorum was not an intellectual exercise for him that night. It was a prediction of what would happen once the sun rose. More attacks, more bodies, more unsolvable problems. The lamp flame began to fail. The oil was running out. Darkness took over the corners of the tent, seeming to advance upon him like death itself. He wrote one last line before the light died. One line that summed it all up. A line that separated the man from the boy, the emperor from the tyrant. Soon you will have forgotten everything. Soon everything will be forgotten about you. He closed the papyrus. He tied it with an old leather strap. Total darkness took over the tent. Marcus Aurelius, the owner of the world, lay down on the hard cot, wrapped in animal skins, listening to the wind and the coughs of sick soldiers. He didn't ask the gods for the next day to be easy. He did not pray for victory or healing. He just closed his eyes and accepted his fate, ready to get up the next morning and carry the weight of the world again, without complaining, until the day his lungs stopped for good. What we today call meditations and sell in bookstores with beautiful covers. It was written with the blood and bile of a man, desperate to hold himself together in a world that was collapsing. It wasn't meant for you to read. It was made for him to survive himself. He didn't want followers. He just wanted not to be corrupted. And that's where history slaps you in the face. We live in the age of comfort. You complain when the coffee gets cold. You have a nervous breakdown when the internet goes down, or when someone looks at you the wrong way in traffic. You call any minor discomfort trauma. And here was a man, sick, old, surrounded by death, leading the greatest empire on earth. And the only thing he said to himself was, stop complaining and be a man. The distance between his strength and his fragility is not historic. It's moral. It's a character flaw. We are addicted to validation. We post our fights expecting digital applause. Marcus Aurelius wrote down his struggles to burn or keep them, just to make sure his soul was clean. He didn't seek empathy. He sought excellence. He understood that the only thing you take away from this life is the quality of your actions. The rest, fame, money, pleasure, is a loan that death takes back with interest. The final lesson he left in that cold tent, without knowing it would reach us 2,000 years later, is simple and brutal. Nobody cares how you feel. The universe is indifferent to your suffering. The only thing that matters is what you do with it. Do you use pain as an excuse to be mediocre? Or do you use pain as fuel to forge an unbreakable character? Marco chose the second option, and he did it alone, in the dark, as the world fell apart. Now, look at your life, look at your mental diary. Is it full of plans for greatness and gratitude? Or is it an endless list of complaints and victimhood? You say you want to be strong, he says he wants to be stoic. But at the first difficulty, you break. You seek comfort. You blame others. If you had been in that tent, with the weight of Rome on your shoulders, would you have written wisdom or would you have cried like a child? Comment below, and don't lie to yourself. I am the master of my mind, or I am a slave to my circumstances. I want to see who has the courage to confess their weakness or the strength to prove otherwise.